Hi everybody, this is Fealindale doing my voiceover for Titan Wars in late June 2016. This time around we tried an entirely different strategy. Here you can see I'm using the healing spec instead of the arcane spec for knighthood. And then for sylphs, Asher is using a Thor and Lilbish is using an Odin instead of us normally doing our normal 3 Friggas. Also, Asher and I are both using Frost Panthers, trying to get a lot of procs from the Reflect passive ability. It has a tit for tat passive that has a chance to reflect damage taken. And they also have a Delphic attack that can reflect damage. So our plan was to use those to make our opponents kill themselves, but it didn't work out like we had hoped. I don't think the tit for tat passive works properly, or maybe there's a cap on how much damage it'll reflect. So there you can see we died pretty solidly to Zardoz and his team. Lilbish and I got taken out in the same shot, so we were not able to revive each other. And then Asher and Sparkhawk couldn't fight them by themselves. So with these Titans, the game slows down a lot after the first attack. Now, since the last patch, you can put your Titans to go off whenever you want. They don't have to be your first 2 or 3 attacks. You can have them be your 4th and 5th attacks if you want. But it still slows down a lot after that first volley, and so in a lot of these fights, the outcome is decided in that first volley. And we kind of underestimated that, and we took a lot of damage in that first volley when perhaps we should have focused on either using some Guardian runes in the first round or just hitting harder and doing more AoEs. As it is in this setup, I'm starting with that group heal. It's number 4 on my bar. I don't remember what it's called, but basically it's like 3 Centurias at once. It will heal the entire party by 18% of their max HP for 3 turns. And so I'm doing that, and then Asher is doing his Lightbringer, Sparkhawk is doing a shield, and Lilbish is doing an attack. Which means that we have no defenses up for that first volley, and you can see we're just taking a lot of damage, and our reflex aren't working like we were hoping. And once that first volley is over, you can see all those shields in play, and it very much changes the flow of the game. I'm not really sure how I feel about the way the game is going lately, because players' attack and res reduction is just so phenomenally high that they're just hitting really hard, and it takes a lot of the fun out of group fights, where there's just no way to survive even 2 big hits in a row. And so if an entire team does big hits, even if you're doing a pretty solid shield or guardian rune, they'll still kill you, which takes some of the fun out of the game. There's less strategy and less incremental fighting. It's all winner take all. Back in the olden days, I think I mentioned this in a previous video, there's more incremental fighting where you lose a little bit of health and then you gain a little bit of health until someone's dead. And now either you're at full health or you're dead, and there's no middle ground. And if you get knocked down low like Ice Princess there, you'll just get healed again right away. Or killed. There's no increment. So we've lost quite a few of our fights already. Sorry, I haven't talked about other stuff, not even paying attention to how we're doing. But I feel like we're losing a lot more than we have in the past. We haven't done worse than 3rd place since November or October. And so already this month we're doing worse than we ever have, which is a little disheartening. It's hard to keep going, especially as some of these other players are just cashing a lot, and our team just really isn't able to or doesn't want to, with different things going on in real life. It's just not as high of a priority anymore, and the game is getting more and more expensive too. used to do just fine, you know, be one of the top players cashing $100 a month, and now if you're not doing $2,000 a month, you're falling behind. So, needless to say, we're falling behind. And then also there's those issues with R squared that have been in other posts on Dolly Games. It's discouraging a lot of players on R squared servers from caching. That includes the Congregate servers and then the Congregate servers, or the R squared servers. And I don't know what else goes through R squared. But they've not done a great job with customer service and compensation, so I think they're losing quite a bit of money from that. Yay, we finally won one. So then we still see some inspiration. You can see that our team doesn't have any inspiration this month, but most other teams are doing at least level 1 or 2, like this one here, and then some teams are just crazy and spending a ton. There you can see how that first volley can decide the match. Some of us already died and revived. Their team, I don't think any of them died. But at least we got back up to full health. Here you can see Asher switched to a Frigga. And I switched my Eudaimon back to the Sacred Knight. We realized that the Frost Panthers weren't really doing much, and we wanted that defensive bonus as much as possible from my Sacred Knight. I got it up to level 6, so it reduces damage we take by 32% now, which is pretty powerful for 5 turns. But because we already used our revives in that first volley, we're no match once they get into self mode, and there we go. Here's a team not using much inspiration. First volley almost kills Sparkhawk and Lilbish. And they used a Purge right there. I think they did a scatter shot or something, which is an interesting strategy. They knocked out my heal buff from my heal spec. And there, Lilbish just revived, so he lost his awakening points. I think a lot of players are gunning for our team because we've done so well in the past that when they see us, they really put out their A game and take us really seriously, even though we're not really one of the top teams anymore. Looks like Lilbish still got to use his Defense Titan right there, his Guardian Titan, even though he died and revived. So that's a good thing to note, that even if you die and revive using your ring, you still get to use your Titans that haven't activated yet. Looks like some kind of bug there. And here's Rono and Ray and Nighthawk and Ariel. This is probably consistently one of the strongest teams out there. Looks like one of them is using the heal spec as well. Didn't see which one. Maybe Ariel. I think I'm not sure how I feel about that heal spec. I'm not sure if it helped very much. I mean, because everything is kind of winner take all, like either you die or you don't. You really need to have heals that completely heal you all at once. And these incremental heals that I've been using, I don't think really help as much compared to like a heal rune or rain dance from a Frigga. And I think in a couple fights here in Titan Wars I switched back over to the arcane spec just so I can hit harder at the beginning. Here we knocked out Ariel, which gives us a numbers advantage. It's always so important to get that numbers advantage where we can beat players who are stronger than us, even if it's just 3 to 4. There, Bish revives. You can see we're using quite a few Chaos runes. We have Rono and Nighthawk Chaos at the moment. And down goes Lilbish, and down goes me. and we lose on time. That was a time fight. Don't see very many of those anymore, with all the damage being put out. So here, instead of starting with a heal, I'm starting with a chaos, trying to disrupt that opening salvo. Because there you can see, like, one hit already, Sparkhawk is almost dead, Lil Bish is at less than half. So, trying to use chaos to disrupt their salvo, I figured was more important than getting out a heal turn 1, especially since some players were using Purge Rune. So I switched up my strategy partway through. I've been doing that more and more with these weekly tournaments. I'll change my strategy partway through. I'm not afraid to recognize when something's not working, and I'll switch it up. But here we had a hard time getting rid of their Eudaimon early on, so they were even able to get some heals out of them. Here we're just trying to throw out shields and survive through their big Delphix. Those knighthood defensive skills are just really powerful. That shield that they have, one of them reduces damage they take by 65%, and then the other one is damage absorption, kind of like the Frigga shield or the old Agoran shield from Knights. They're really overpowered and make it so that we really can't do any damage. I think most teams really need to have a knight with a defensive spec just to throw out those. It's one of the only ways to really compete right now. And there we just died even through Sparkhawk's shield, so who was it who hit us so hard? That must have been Dinah. But some of us revived. It looks like Sparkhawk revived, and we're still keeping all 4 of our players, and we're able to get some heals out in Frigga mode. Looks like this team's going for more damage, using 2 Thors and an Odin, and only 1 Frigga. I always wonder if teams do that intentionally, trying to get more damage, or if they just don't have as many players with Friggas. I feel like Frigga is a pretty common self now. They're still expensive, but you can at least get them with Bound Balins. But most of these top players have them. But in Titan Wars, there's some weaker players that get to play in the top bracket, so you never know. And now it's 4 against 1. And Dinah still hits really hard, so we can't, just completely call this one a win. But it's really hard for one player to take on 4. So we're winning about as many as we're losing. Middle of the pack. There you can see Asher switched to doing an attack turn 1 instead of Lightbringer. We're just trying to really bank on that opening salvo, but when Bish and I both die in the first attack, there's not a lot we can do. Sparkhawk has all of those passives from her knighthood spec, and so she's able to survive those things a lot better than me and Lil Bish. This team is using Fire Self on Ares. That's interesting. Don't see a lot of Ares around. I've tried using it in Class Wars last month, but I don't see it in Titan Wars very often. It's usually Fused Selves and the occasional Water or Wind. Yeah, we have 4 wins, so we're losing more than we're winning. It was a very discouraging week. Here you can see I switched over to my arcane skills, just really trying to hit hard that first salvo. I think it worked a little bit better. We were able to take out Chili's entire team, except for himself and Slap and Tickle. And we're able to keep, because we hit them so hard so fast, they didn't have time to kill our Eudaimon, so we kept them around. There, you can see we're doing 3 AoEs into shield in our opening salvo. You can see how powerful that is. Most of their players just use their revives. Enchantress is low on health. Here I have a Guardian Rune and a Guardian Titan going at the same time. That's probably just an accident. I can't always keep track of when my Guardian Titan is going to go off, and I'll accidentally do my Rune and then have both of them at once, which is completely unnecessary. The Guardian Titan by itself is 90% damage reduction. I don't need to have more damage reduction on top of that. There, I got hit with Chaos. I did a whole bunch of tests on Chaos runes lately, trying to figure out what Chaos Resist actually does. And it turns out, like, if you have a 20% Chaos Resist from your Eudaimon, that means that 1 out of 5 times that a player uses a Chaos rune on you, it won't give you any debuff. The debuff won't even appear. But if you actually are chaosed and you get the debuff, then the debuff works as normal. It's not affected by the chaos resist from your Eudaimon. So I did like 100 tests of that to figure out exactly what it does and figure out all the percentages, and it came out pretty accurate. Which means that when you are chaosed in battle and you actually have that chaos passive on you, your chaos resist won't protect you at all. You gotta be careful about hitting your opponents with shields or hitting your own teammates with attacks. So chaos is still really vicious. We'll have to see what happens as people start getting level 7 and 8 chaos resist on their Eudaimons, if chaos will still stay relevant. But for now, especially here in Titan Wars, it's a pretty big deal. Here Asher's trying to get us back into Sylph mode, get the rest of our team, and we got it. We won that one on time, it looks like. 1 fight to go with 7 wins. Onslaught and Shady and L'Oreal. This is a very powerful team. I think they've been pretty underrated. They've been really coming up and up lately. Onslaught is now one of the top players that I really look out for in Marriage Wars and Crossover Guild Battle and Class Wars. And then Shady is obviously no joke. Shady's been one of the top players for a long time, as well as L'Oreal. And then I'm not as familiar with the archers. But those archer buffs and debuffs are pretty impressive too, where you can increase your teammate's attack by like 60% and increase damage your opponents take by 60% is just really overpowered. You really need to have an archer in every team now. Yep, here we're just really taking a pummeling. Asher and Spark are gone, and there we go. So that's it. 15 rounds and 7 wins. It was a pretty rough week for us. We tried a couple different strategies, and kind of the big takeaways are that the Frost Panthers aren't really worth it, and that first opening salvo kind of determines the pace and the mood for the rest of the fight, so it's important to get a lot of damage out in that first salvo, and then keep track of when your Titans go off, I guess. So congratulations to the victors, and stay tuned for more videos.